Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast, episode 9, nearly at the end of the season. You know we get a new episode each week, so this episode is about redemption. Just like most of my stories, it's got the good and it's got the bad. The ones who know me know that I'm a dog person. I love dogs. I actually do conservation for some of the rarest dogs in the world. I own 6 of them myself, and I've got like another 10 around the country. My business partner Sal, he's got 2 or 3 with him. This story, people, probably includes some of the best and worst things that happen, because everybody who knows me knows how much I love dogs. This is more or less the whole story around the dogs in my life, because I own 6 of the most rarest dogs in the world. Chinese Chongqing it's pronounced. They're like the rarest dogs in the world, the show dog, one of the most ancient dogs. It can be traced back to like 3,000 years to the Chinese emperors, but they nearly got wiped out in only just recently as the 70s. And then what happened in China, they were like so rare, but I don't know whether you know what it's like in China, or whether they culled them or started getting rid of them, but there was hardly any left, and they only managed to survive because of a few people who kept them, who lived in the mountains in China. So somehow, and then they've sort of been able to repopulate a little bit, and then I do conservation for them in the UK over here now. I set up a conservation program where we can keep the bloodline going. I got the closest bloodline I could get from China, and I set it all up. Like, it's probably one of the best things I've done in my life, one of the most accomplished things, which is not for ego or self, do you know what I mean? I love the dogs, like, nobody's perfect. I've made mistakes, and you're going to hear about them in this story. So, I was living in Salford in a flat. I had a flat. Just after I ended up nearly homeless, off the rails and what have you. There was an apartment flat in Walton in a house. Got it off this woman named Kath. What a little demon she is. She more or less put me on the streets. She left me with no heating at all, fucking boiler and all this, and then you had to put these like paper cards, like I had to buy paper card gas electric cards off her for £5. Oh my god, it was a fucking joke. No, I wasn't in the best places anyway, do you know what I mean? I was in a really bad place. But at the time, wow, that shown me who was there for me, which is more or less nobody, especially when I come from a big family. I try and sort of justify it by saying maybe I wouldn't have given somebody in that position, in that state, the money, because they might have fucking gone and drank, pissed it up the wall. But I didn't. I needed it for a deposit, you know what I mean, for a gaff, because I was going to be homeless, so it was a different level. But by God's grace, I didn't. I was working all the time. I was working every day, God sent, with my granddad, and managed to get out of it. I managed to get a deposit together, get a flat in Salford, because I just wanted to get out of Little Hutton. That was my intention. And then I moved to Walkden and I got this house. One of the worst things I did, actually. But then eventually ended up, like I say, more or less pressured to get out of that gaff by this calf and a few of the fucking little cronies who are my mates knew, absolute idiots. None of them can fucking tell me what to do, Kath. She knows that now. So I left that gaff, and then I ended up in Salford. I had a really top gaff in Salford then. It was like, it cost me a lot. It cost me like 120 quid a week, and that was back then. It was right next to town. It was on Great Clew Street at the top, right in with all the Jews. Because at the time I worked with my granddad every single day, most weekends, and we was mainly working for the Jewish community up in Salford and around Prestwich. We got to know them all, got to know one of the top Jewish property developers, Langsam. He owns half of Manchester, one of the richest guys in the country. Like, I worked for him with my granddad. They all loved my granddad, because he lived up there as well. He had a flat in Prestwich, as well as he had the house in Liverpool. She went back most weekends. Well, he had a nice, decent little flat in Grumps in Prestwich. Used to work up there with him, and I got this flat. It's like in the attic, third floor, top floor apartment. It was a bit like a penthouse, you could say. Salford penthouse. So I was in this like 2 bedroomed, absolutely massive. It was bigger than a 3-bedroomed house. It's like a big, massive, long hallway. The kitchen, living room / kitchen at the front, massive. All full attic, dead spacious. Had Velux windows, so it was bright. It was good. I had a studio in the back room. Put my music studio in there when I first set up my music studio. So we need to actually take this one right back. Rewind to when I was about 2 years old, because one of my first memories. We had a photo, my nana had it. My nana had a photo of me where I was riding on a chow chow, as if it was a lion or something. Only about two. In my memory, I've got like a vivid memory of putting my arms around it and like letting it drag me along, do you know what I mean? Just clinging on like a big teddy bear. And I can always remember that. And I mean, I didn't realise they had their memories. We've actually got their memories what go way back to like when we was 2 or 3. So we can remember, because I can remember that. Just my arms around it and like loving it. So I suppose it's full circle in a way, because now I ended up doing conservation in the UK for these dogs. I own 6 of them, you know what I mean? It's where I feel most comfortable. Most people know, because I always say it. I trust dogs more than I trust humans. When I first started with the dogs, when I first came into the community, made a few mistakes, and I tell you what, I trusted some people. Oh my God. And I come from the streets where you can't really trust anyone. I got into the dog community, and it was like it was like heavy. I didn't know it was like so competitive, backstabbing, honestly. But like I say, away from the streets, so I'm used to it all. Go way back to the chows, to that photo my nana had of me like riding on a chow. And one of my business partners, Joanne, she used to breed chows, gorgeous dogs. I've got to go way back to then, to when I was 2 and 3. And then from then, like my granddad used to breed dogs. You can take it, my mum used to breed them. I think that was my granddad's influence too. But you can take it right back to my nana and granddad breeding dogs, because my granddad had some belting dogs back then. English Bull Terriers, he had some of the best in the country. And I think that's where I probably got the bug from. English Bull Terriers lying on like sun lounges and stuff. In my granddad's, because he was on Newgate Drive. That's where my nana and granddad lived. And they had chows, they had a couple of chows, and they're mainly English Bull Terriers. And then later through the years, my mum eventually took it on. She started breeding them towards the end. But we had some absolute fire dog. Tara, she used to just lie in a chair. We more or less, my mum took it on and started breeding English Bull Terriers as well. So when we moved up to Walkden out of that flat, she had a couple in that flat. And while we're on the subject, do you know one of our dogs, it actually fell out of the window. Purdy, she was like our favourite. The whole family loved her. She was the best dog. All white English Bull Terrier. She was in the first floor flat, top in the bed, like sort of the dining room, and it was like in the corner. There's a window, and then it's the corner of the flats. Do you know what I mean? She sort of somehow fell. I can't remember because I was so young. But my mum, whatever happened at the time with my mum, and then she fell out the window and died. We was all gutted about that, about Purdy. We loved her. And we also had a couple of Jack Russells in that flat. We moved up to Mill Hill in Little Houghton, and then we moved to Walkden. When we got in Mill Hill, we started breeding some dogs in there. I can remember having a couple of litters, English Bull Terriers. And then when we got to Walkden in Jackson Street, my mum started really taking it seriously, showing them. We took a few to the shows. I had a dog called DJ. My brother Stephen had a dog called Della. We had Brit. She was like the mum, the alpha female. And we had a few. So they were breeding them so that was always in my childhood. Growing up into my teenage years, I always used to see my granddad doing it. I'd never realised that I'd be doing it later on in my life. I used to watch my granddad, and he'd be always doing it. He loved it, it was like his passion, his hobby. But he was good at it. He had some belting dogs. I've seen some of the best dogs in the world, some of the best English Bull Terriers in the world. Where I learnt my sort of skills. I had my dog DJ. More or less starts here really, because I had my dog DJ, and then what happened is, like, if you listen to any of the other episodes, I ended up moving out of my mum's house up to Blackburn. Sort of fell in love with this girl, and we ended up moving away up to Colne in Burnley, getting a gap together. So, and I had to sort of leave DJ with my mum. He was cool at my mum's. My mum had a few dogs, like I say. So he was alright, everything was good. But then my relationship with my mum was always up and down. I haven't even got one with her anymore, and I feel better for it. So that says it all. But that's a different story. So my dog was okay, like he sort of just lived with my mum, with the other dogs. But then what happened is, quite like I say, I've got to cut a long story short, because I ended up moving back, and then when I got moved back to Salford to my mum's, I wasn't in a position to live at my mum's anymore. She wouldn't let me live there. I had nowhere to live really. I knew a lot of people, so I was staying at a friend's sometimes. My auntie lived on her in Blackleach Drive. She had a spare bedroom there. My younger cousin Leighton lived there. And so I think my brother was actually living there in a different room at one point. But then, she let me stay. So I was staying in a small room for a bit while I got a gaff together. I needed a flat, so I was just trying to, like I said, more or less homeless after this part. I eventually got a flat. And then, because I was young and sort of ego, I just wanted my dog back. Back then it was more like I'd never put myself in this position now, because you live and you learn, don't you? I was young then, I was young and stupid. I knew nothing really, and it was like I say, it was like more about myself, selfish and ego. I just wanted my dog back for the ego really, so I was just trying to get the dog back. Like I wasn't good with my mum, so I was just like, I want my dog back, do you know what I mean? Get the dog with me. I was not in a position to, if you're not in a position to, you can't do it. But back then I didn't care. I wasn't in a position to be responsible enough really to take him back yet. I hadn't even started the gaff out and got on my own feet, you know what I mean? So I shouldn't have been trying to get him back or whatever. But one day I went round to my mum's and I'd had enough and I just wanted him back, so I took him with me. I had this flat, not much furniture, and so I just wanted him with me. I didn't have enough money, to be honest, to even feed us both. So, like I say, this story, it's a bit harsh, it's a bit deep, but it's the truth, so it's got to be told. I was not in a position to, and I was working all the time. Just got a job in Manchester, in city centre, doing construction on a big building sites. This is before all the high-rise. This is when they was first building high-rise building, doing the concreting on the floor and then just ground labouring, first fixing and that before the concrete gets put in. I learnt a lot. I learnt how to do concreting. I learnt how them big high-rises are built. Everything. Amazing. Doing that, I had to be there at 6 in the morning. You know what I mean? This is how much of a hectic life I was living. Trying to get to town, get to Walton train station and get to town for like 6, 7 in the morning. I used to clock in. Proper hard graft as well, proper shifts. So I was doing that and getting up early and just getting out of my flat. I had no furniture in the flat, just had sort of a camping bed sort of thing. It was it's ridiculous looking back now, thinking about it. And then my dog, and then just trying to get to work. And then each night from work, I was still struggling with like I say, the alcohol addiction at this point, I think, because I was going to the pub every night. I'd get back from work, I'd be straight in the pub. I mean, that's sort of standard procedure in the working class life. Like I say, I must have been having late nights and then I'd have to be up early, so it was all too much. The top and bottom of it is, I had my dog in there, and at the time I was like going out weekends as well, partying. So I had my younger cousin Leighton, like I say, they lived on the same street, a few houses up, and my brother and my auntie let me live there for a bit. So he was a right nuisance, but I had my cousin Leighton, we didn't get on the best. He sort of had testosterone and he was just growing up, so he had a lot to prove. Some other idiot from Walton. My brother's friend, who was from Walton, I didn't really know him. What happened is, I think people got wind of it, because I lived next door to one of my mates, Cundle. His mum lived next door, that's who gave me the bed for the flat. And then I was leaving my dog in there all day, do you know what I mean? I had to tell this story because I have to accept it, because I wouldn't even imagine it now. The person I am now, I'd never imagine. I love my dogs to my family. So I left my dog in there and I was leaving him in there, and I was just nipping back, feeding him, not even taking him out. The room was full of dog poo and dog wee. Like I say, it was just irresponsible, and I was still trying to go to work every morning, so it must have just all got on top of me. Like I say, long story short, my cousin Leighton, somebody must have heard about the dog being left there. So one day they went back and they went to the flat, broke into the flat, took the dog. Russ's dad, they already had a couple of dogs, so they took the dog to his and let Russ more or less have him. I mean, you take what you want from it. Morally, is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, when I look back now, I've got my own opinions. That's what happened. Didn't have no say. I got told about it then. I was like, well, I wasn't even in a position to, like I say, to get him and bring him back, because I still had to live in that flat. And he ended up having him for quite a long time. And then I had my brother, he had a flat as well. And eventually he ended up getting the dog. He was living with him for a bit. But like I say, he was in a flat I think he had a baby at the time. He was with his girlfriend, so it was a bit of a squeeze. But I think he took him on for a bit, and I was at my flat, and then I managed to get a more decent flat by this time. I thought, right, this time, I thought I better not have him back because I won't be able to look after him again, so I started trying to learn my lesson. So Stephen just kept him with him. And then one day, I can remember it, my brother's girlfriend rang me. And she's like, DJ's bit of kid about a 3-year-old. I was like, what? No, he wouldn't. He wasn't like that. He wouldn't at all bite a kid. So I think, what happened is the situation. He ran down some stairs, ran outside, bashed the kid over because he was like a big English bull terrier, absolutely massive. And like he'd hit it, and the baby had hit its cheek against the wall or something like that. I can't really remember what happened, but I know for a fact that he didn't like jump up and bite her face because firstly it would have been a lot worse. And he wouldn't have done that. He's never, he wasn't that type of dog. She was going mad and was like, I went down to the flat, shouted at him and said he was a naughty boy, and then we was in a bit of a dilemma because Emma was like, do you want to have him, take him because you better off living with you? I was like I said, I wasn't in a position still. I said, right, we'll sort it out when I got home from work later. It more or less happened like that, and then by the time I got home, is the shocking part, he'd been put down because Stephen and his girlfriend had decided to have him took to the vets because they thought he was sort of dangerous, but he wasn't. I didn't really get the opportunity to take him back because they told me as soon as I get back from work, I went in the pub. They was already in the pub, and that's when they told me, and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he's gone. So it's quite shocking, but I just accepted it all. Sort of had to move on from it. We all make mistakes. That was one of my major regrets in my life, but it happened, and I learned, live and learn. That's where the story becomes into a happy ending, because eventually, after having my daughter, and then I ended up moving out, splitting up with my daughter's mum, having to more or less start my life again. So I started from scratch, and then I ended up, I wanted a bull terrier like I did when I was younger, growing up. But then I came across the Chongqing, the Chinese Chongqing dog. There was one available just other side of Manchester, I think it was. I just found it somehow. I don't know, the universe must have sent it somehow. And at the time I didn't have much money. I was at uni, I think. This is where people don't get it. People see me now with 6 dogs in a business, what's successful. I think I'd saved up a little bit of money at the time. Just this opportunity for the Chongqing dog, for the puppy. She was like 3 months old, Ruby. She was the last one. She was born from a litter of 3, I think, 2 of her brothers. But and there was just one opportunity for £2,000, and when I say my last pound, I used my last pound, and I spent every single penny. And when I got her, I had anxiety, all sorts. I was like, can I take this responsibility on again, because I wanted to learn my lesson, obviously. So, but eventually it's all worked out, and now look at us, we're like the biggest Chinese Chongqing family in the country, in the UK. They cost like 5,000, 6,000. They can go up to 10,000 for stud fees. So you're looking at a lot of money for these dogs. They'll be rare, because they're so rare, and they're also show dogs. They can command a lot of money. Don't sort of let ours go for them prices, because we want normal people to be able to have them. But that's in the actual Chongqing podcast that we do. So if you're interested in that, the Chongqing Dog Conservation and Awareness podcast, check it out. My life revolves around the dogs. I've got 6 of them. It's more or less their house. I live in their house. I've got some of the best dogs in the world now, and they're my family, my dog. The story does have an happy ending. Is it redemption? Is it a full circle thing? And on TikTok, Imperial Emperor, Chongqings. Check it out. You'll love it. Well, I hope that's been an interesting one for you guys. And it's series 2 now, so I'll see you in the next series.